Humbity diddle dee hidely dido, humbity diddlum diddle dee dido, humbity diddle dee hidely dido, humbity diddlum die. Where are we today, boys and girls? At the where? The Crook of Devon. And what parts of the Crook of Devon are we at?
I forgot.
You forgot, Marco. Do you know what this part's called?
It's the golf course road.
The golf course road. So when we look around us, we can see lots of fields. But this used to be a golf course. So was it this part was a golf course or the next part, Marco?
No, further on.
Further on. I always wondered that. Now, what we're going to do is when we get to the golf course road, we're going to take ourselves a little left turn, which takes us along to the Broom Hill Kennels. And the reason we're going to do that is because we're going to see something called the Bullstone. And what do you think the Bullstone might be?
Something that was made by the witches or something?
Something that was made, well, it was said to have been made by a witch. Now, Marco, do you know anything about the legend of the Bullstone?
No, just technically it would have been probably used for bull baiting.
Bull baiting? What is bull baiting?
They used to tie the bull to the stone and get dogs to bite its throat.
Oh
and
my
nose.
word!
Well, they had nothing much to do in those days.
So bull baiting was an exciting Sunday afternoon pastime.
I think so.
I think you might be right, Marco. Now, there is another story, a myth about the Bullstone, and we're just coming up to the Bullstone right here. Let's have a wee look at it. Now, this here is the Bullstone, boys and girls. You want to go and have a little look at it?
It's the remnants of the Bullstone.
It's the remnants of it, yeah. So this is not as big as it used to be. So
I can see this is where the ring where the bull must have been tied.
Well, no, this is actually where it's been put back together, because what happened in later years is the stone was actually really, really, really big. And it's said that the locals used to use parts of it for building stuff. Yeah. Maybe even part of the church that we can see down there, just off in the distance.
How about this wall?
Well, the wall was obviously built at a more modern time as well, but what was said to have happened is the locals had dynamited it apart.
That's right.
And they got into quite a lot of trouble, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they were ordered to stick it back together like this. So yeah, we can see, oh,
This should have been about 6 feet high.
6 feet high, so about as tall as me.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the legend or the myth behind this was that one day there was a gentleman. And do you know what he did?
What?
He offended a witch. And what do you think the witch did to him?
Turned him into a mouse?
No, it didn't turn him into a mouse. What's this made of?
Stone.
Stone. What do you think she turned him into?
Stone.
She turned him into stone. And it said that she was flying over here and it got too heavy, so it dropped from the sky right here.
So it must have been a rather large gentleman.
It must have been a rather large gentleman. Yes, I think you are right. So will we just keep coming along this way? Now, we were just talking about how that myth had a witch involved, weren't we? Boys and girls? Yeah. And the Crook is rather famous for its witches. In fact, we've spoken about some of them before. Do you remember the name of one of the witches or warlocks we've spoken about? John...
Erskine.
Not John Erskine, no, that was the Lord in Alloa. We're talking about the notorious warlock of Crook of Devon, John Bruges.
Speaking of that, what do you call a warlock that doesn't want to fight?
I don't know, what do you call a warlock that doesn't want to fight?
A peace lock.
Ah! See you, Jimmy. What are we going to do? Oh, look at the wee sheepies here. They look incredibly happy over there, don't they?
And fluffy.
They're very fluffy, aren't they?
In fact, I wonder what it would feel like to cuddle a sheep.
I often wonder that as well, but you don't really have to wonder. You just put on a sheep's wool jumper and you can pretty much find out, can't you?
Or you're a farmer.
Or a farmer. Now, John Bruges lived or died in 1643, which was how many years ago, William? Can you work that out for me?
So about 300, so about 300
Oh, don't let Marco figure it out for you. You can do this. Use your skills here.
I've got little fingers.
1643.
1643.
2043. So that's 400 years.
Uh-huh.
And minus 2020.
Minus 20.
22.
22 gives you
378.
378, Marco.
Roughly speaking.
Roughly speaking, that was excellent mathematics there, William. Now, Crook of Devon was really famous for burning witches, sadly. In fact, I have a book right here called The Annals of Kinrossshire. Now, this book was written by one of our friends, wasn't it, Marco?
Yes.
And his name's Roderick, or for his proper title, Lord Moncrieff. And since I was a little boy, this book has been one of my favourite books. I think it came out when I was about 10 years old. And basically it's a reprinting of the Chronicle, or what would have been what we would consider the local newspaper over the centuries. Wasn't it, Marco? Is that right?
That's right.
And was the writer and his apprentice from Crook of Devon? Am I correct in saying that?
Correct.
So, while this might be quite a sleepy little place these days, it has a very long and quite famous history. Now, the reason I like this book so much is because it mentions all of the places that we like to go to. And it also mentions a lot of the people that came here. So our friend Roderick, he lives at a place called Tillibole Castle, which is just north of us to here. Chloe, are you coming to catch up, darling? So just north of here is Tillibole, and that would be the sort of westerly limit of the Tillibole parish, or the Fossaway parish. Is that right?
Tillibole parish.
Tillibole parish.
Tillibole estate.
Tillibole estate, yeah. Before you start moving into Cleash and then further out into Fife. Now that castle, Tillibole Castle, was built in 1608, and Roderick has actually built a fantastic tribute to all, or mainly the women, but also men, who were burnt at the stake just along here. So John Bruce was probably the most famous of them, and he had long been a terror to the Kinross district. And it was proven at his trial that he had met the devil at Rumbling Bridge. Do you know where Rumbling Bridge is, guys? We've been there, haven't we?
Dollar?
It's on the way to Dollar, that's right. Let's just have a look at all these wee sheep. And he had also, he and others had met Satan thrice in the kirkyard of Glendevon at Quilkis times. What would that word mean, Marco, do you think? Q-U-I-K-I-S.
I used to know, it's long I've forgotten that one.
So it says something time, so Quilkis, was that like maybe the time of year or the time of day maybe?
No, time of year. I think
Time of year, so they were maybe talking about harvest time or planting time maybe?
Something like that.
Something
yeah.
like that. It's not an easy one to attribute to the words now. So, and he was said to have, oh sorry, at Quilkis time there was ta'en up 3 several dead corpse. Ane of them being ane severned man named John Christiston. And other corpse ta'en up at the Kirk of Muckert. The flesh of the Quilk corpse was put upon the bride's head. What was the bride's head? Was that the entrance to the church then? Or Byre's head, sorry. The entrance to the barn, maybe.
Maybe the barn.
Aye. So, I mean, that is quite scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
This wasn't just a case of somebody being accused of something. There was obviously something going on in Crook of Devon or around this area at the time that caused people to do such things, I think. Now, what else did he do? I'm not sure I want to read any more of this. So the reason that they put off certain individuals to destroy their cattle. So that's what they tried to do. Tried to affect all the people's harvest. Now, wait a minute, what's this big stone? Is that just part of the dike here? Yeah. Look at that big stone there. Look at the size of that one, Justin.
The insects?
Well, this is what I'm just thinking. These rocks are so big, they look like they were hewn from something that was just as big. What do you think?
If not bigger.
If not bigger. So I think these rocks here, Marco might be right, I think these could easily have come from the Bullstone at one point or another, don't you? Now, for these horrid crimes, John was tried at Courus in November of that year, and his doom was that he would be first strangled, then burnt, which is obviously not a very nice thing to be happening to you, is it, Catherine?
No.
Certainly is not. Which was done, it seems, at the gallows now of Crook of Devon. So what we're looking for today is the gallows now. The lamb leaves, is that what we call it?
No, gallows nows is different.
Oh right, okay.
Lamb layers is where the witches, once they were dead, were placed in lamb's layers and burnt there.
Right.
So they were strung up somewhere else.
So that would gallows now. So where do we know where gallows now might have been?
I think it's in the back crook.
Oh, around where I grew up.
Yes.
Oh wow! There we go. So there we go. I've lived here all my life, and I pride myself on knowing all this stuff, and I had no idea. That's so. Whereabout? Do we have any idea? Would it be in the fish farm, the school, or
No,
further round?
I think it was further round.
Oh, so it could have been right outside my house, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, in your area.
Oh my word!
Your neck of the woods.
Well, let's not. That's a very good pun there, Marco. This is the neck of the woods. We'll give you that one. So, is there anything else down there? So, the lamb leaves, where would that have been?
Just round the corner here.
Just round the corner here. So, aye. So we are. So, this is where they would have been put once they were tried, or once they were hung at gallows now.
Yes.
Right.
There were two people that were involved in the deaths of the witches. They were called doomsters.
Right.
And one of them was a person called Gibson. Gibson was from Powmill.
Are you kids not related to the Gibsons that's here now, surely?
Yes.
Oh my word! Well, hey,
Don't mess about with the Gibsons.
you don't ever. Hey, listen, that's still true today. Aye, Davey's a good friend of mine.
Yeah,
I went to school with Laura as well.
Their forefathers was he was one that was the doomster and some of the witches. Not all of them, but some of them.
My goodness me. Well, do you know what? That is very true. You never stop learning. I'm so glad we brought you along today, Marco, because you've increased my understanding of this situation quite significantly. So, yeah, between the years of 1560 and 1700, there were lots of these stranglings and burnings at the stake here in Crook of Devon. In fact, it seems to have been a bit of a obsession for this part of the world for quite some time. Let's come back and let the car pass. Justin, over here.
Inside.
So yeah, between 1560 and 1700, it was something that happened quite a lot around here. And it now appears extraordinary that such an amount of faith should have been placed in the existence of witches and warlocks and in their capabilities. These worthies burst out all at once after the fall of the Romish form of worship, and it may therefore be asked, had the fall no immediate or after connection with these poor specimens of humanity? All right, let's get into the side and let the nice horse pass. Let's go to this side. Hi there. Now, we must be getting quite close to this lamb leaves place.
We're nearly there.
Now, even walking down here, you can see how Crook of Devon's actually changed quite significantly just in the recent past. Because obviously this part here is all the new houses, and over here to
where the railway track used to be.
So that's right where the railway track ran through. Oh right, so we can actually. So I had actually thought the path we were just on was maybe where the old railway track had run through.
right in the face of these houses was where the railway track
And
was.
would that, so where the manse basically is now, would that have been the station?
Yeah, that was the station house.
Oh, wait a minute, let me have a wee look here, because look, whenever I see these stones in fields, what I've learnt is that these things are not usually randomly placed here. These things are usually associated with witchcraft or fairies or things like that. So when you walk all these old paths around Crook of Devon and Muckert, or anywhere around here, you'll often find these little fairy stones. So we'll need to try and find out if that one has any significance. Oh, and look, when we look off in the distance there, we can see up on the hill up to Knockntinny, which is the high point of the land before it starts descending back into Fife. And when we look along, you can see here, we can look over and we can see the ochels. Now the ochels are in a lot of our videos, aren't they, boys and girls?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did one on CMAB, we've done one along at Wood Hill, and you can see here how they're way off in the distance, the land goes away down. But as we come up here, Crook of Devon is right at the top of the ochels. And that means when it's winter time here, you'll often get snow, just like you do on the top of the hills.
You know,
And the roads will get blocked. Oh, what are you saying, darling?
you know, I wonder how they would have reacted to fairy ring mushrooms.
I wonder, what do you think?
Since they grow in circles and since they kind of look like mushrooms that fairies would live in, they are called fairy ring mushrooms.
Oh, well, I think the people of here would have been quite attracted to them, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just keep along. Oh, right, so Crook of Devon was, it would appear, from old registers and trials, greatly infested with witches and warlocks at this period. And that at least 10 persons were tried for their wicked practice and several of them burnt quick, that is to say burnt alive, in 1662. So we're right here, so
That's Lamlayers here.
so this little bit of the field, so let's just have a wee look at this.
It's a high ground.
Yeah, so what we've got is this field that's kind of undulating all over. It's got a wee bit of floodplain in it. You can see those sort of things, plants that grow where it's nice and watery. And then just coming up here, you see the land raises right up. And this is what we call the lamb laves. Is this where they were taken to afterwards?
After they were hanged and
So what would have happened is just over that hill there in the back crook, just round where I grew up, probably right in front of my house, was where they would have been burnt or strangled, then burnt, and then they would have been brought just up by the River Devon to this bit of high ground right here. Oh, what's this? What are we listening to? What's that?
Eat the beetle.
Oh, Marco doesn't eat beetles. Not until tea time.
No, I didn't mean he wanted
I
to
know.
make him eat it. I wanted to make him listen.
Oh, can you hear him? Does he make a noise?
Yeah, it's a click beetle.
A click beetle. That's wonderful, isn't it?
You don't actually feel it flick.
Right, let's just keep going around, because what they've done now is just from this bit that has quite a worrying history, they've built a lovely little path that just takes us back into the Crook of Devon, to the park. And we've got a lovely tennis court there as well that I'd like to show you a little bit of. So we'll just take a wee walk up and round. Now, Marco, is there anything else you might know about related to the witches or anything to do with that in Crook of Devon?
Not that comes to mind.
No, that comes to mind. I think
No more scandal.
no more scandal for today. My goodness me, eh? Now I used to, oh look, there's Liz, maybe we can go and say hello to the minister. That's right, that's people's houses there. Now that's our minister there from the church, I think. Is that Liz? I think it is. Hello, Liz. We're just out making a wee video about the witches of Crook of Devon. We thought we'd come and say hello, seeing as we saw you. No! Well, we were just coming to check. We were coming to check, but then we realised it was you. Bye-bye. Right, let's go along our little path here and see if we can find any witches.
Many people, no,
Oh,
house.
yeah, this is people's house, isn't it?
Pizza.
Lander House, I like the name of that one. And the paddock as well.
Pizza. These are private houses.
They're massive houses, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think they're lovely. What do you think, William? You don't know? Not too keen? I'd rather live in an older house, I have to say. But for a new house, they're pretty nice. What about you, Marco? Would you rather live in one of the old houses of Crook of Devon or one of these big fancy ones?
No, I'm just the old properties.
I'm the old... Oh, look, well spotted. Oh, shh. Look at them all. Oh, look at them all. Are they starlings? Oh, Marco, guess what one of our friends found? He found a starling, a baby one, lying on the side of the road over in Bulgaria. So he's been sending us videos. He's been feeding it since last Saturday. And guess what we called him?
Starry
Johnny Rotten.
Johnny Rotten.
Johnny Rotten. And after 1 week, you wouldn't even think he was the same bug. Oh, whoa! Look, I think there is witches here. Look at this. Look at this. Look, that must be a witch controlling that. How does that move all by itself?
It's called an outdoor Roomba.
It's called what?
An outdoor Roomba.
And what might an outdoor Roomba be? Look, it's coming. Oh no, it's coming for me.
It's cutting the grass.
I don't think I like this.
It cuts the grass for you.
No, that's definitely a warlock controlling that. Oh look, there's a wee birdie at the background. Let's look at it. Oh, look at him dancing about. I think he's playing with it. He thinks it's a friend. He's like, this guy's a lot of fun.
You just...
Right, let's go to the park.
Yeah.
I can hear a lawnmower as well. It might be another friend, it might be someone to say hello to, eh? And let's just have a wee look at the lamb leaves for this side. It's hard to imagine what went on here, you know, when you've walked past it all your life and ride your bikes by it, eh?
There's a mushroom!
Oh, you found a mushroom? Where is it? Show us. A mushroom, where is it? Oh, look at that one. I think that's a very special mushroom.
What is it?
I don't know, I don't really know my mushrooms. You're the mushroom expert, but let's just have a look.
Those are probably sulphur tufts. A common garden mushroom in the autumn.
Oh, is it? It's not the autumn yet. I wonder what it's doing out at this time of year.
Yes, maybe it's a type of deceiver actually.
Maybe somebody can tell us in the comments. What do you think?
Yeah. Devon Valley House.
Devon Valley House. Let's just get a wee look at there. So we've got the wee floodplain bit here. And then just round this corner is where we're going to, I think.
People mower.
It's a mower, that's right, Justin. Oh, I've got some stingy nettles and some reeds. Oh, some sticky willy as well. Oh wow, it's a ride-on mower. Well spotted, Justin. Superb.
Dogs.
Oh, is there dogs as well? And just look at this. So you've got, this is just coming into people's wee back gardens. I think this is a great wee path that they've made, eh?
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. For the landowner giving them a bit. I think you're right, William.
Because not all landowners,
What's that?
because not all landowners will let you walk on their path.
No, and not all landowners would maybe donate a bit of it. Is that Mrs. Marshall's old house there? Or was it the next one along?
Was she a nice person?
She was my primary school teacher.
Oh.
And 2 or 3 generations of my family's primary school teacher, I think.
Impressive.
Very impressive, huh? Oh, and look, there's lots of wee butter.
It belonged to the railway company because this is where the railway track was.
Right, so this path we're actually on would have been the railway track then. So that's the same for a lot of paths around this area, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I think it could have been Caledonian Railways.
Caledonian?
I can't remember. Because Caledonian Railway built Gleneagles Hotel,
Oh, really?
and before they built Gleneagles, they looked at the golf course here.
Oh, so this could have been this could have been Gleneagles.
This could have been another Gleneagles.
Wow, because that's pretty cool. Because there's no golf course left here now, is there? But it must have been one of the earliest golf courses here, I would have thought.
Well, it was, I think, around 1930s it closed down.
It closed down in the 1930s, so that would have even been. That's when the railway started to come, was it not?
No, they were here.
Oh, sorry, the buses. Sorry,
The buses, yeah.
the buses were
The
1930s.
trains were running for 100 years on this line.
I'll tell you what, we'll just keep going on this path because I think there's a really nice sign at the church we could look at that'll give us a real good overview of where we've just been. So if you want to tell us any more about the railways, that would be fantastic.
It ran for just over 100 years, but it was built when it closed down in 1963-64.
Right.
Obviously it's needed again, but possibly not for Crook of Devon, but for Kinross anyway.
Aye.
But
Oh, look at this one go. So this here as well, now I'll tell you a little bit about this wee football pitch here because this has got a little bit to do with me and my friends. So this bit of grass here just used to be like the rest of this on this side. It was just a bit of floodplain, Marco? What would we call it? So this bit's just really, really boggy. And I remember when I was about 9 or 10 years old, we were in the church just over the back there. And the minister asked us children what we would like the most. And me being me, I put my hand up and I said I would like a football team. So we got a football team. And all of the adults decided to build us a football pitch. So the council, via Mike Barnacle up the top of the hill there, agreed to match all the money that we raised in the local community. And I think we raised about £25,000. And the council paid another 25,000 and we built this football pitch. Hello there, how you doing?
nice top,
Ah, it's no bad, eh?
brilliant top.
Won the Jambos. Best top in the world. So yeah, this little bit of grass right here means quite a lot to me. Hello there. Well, we say hello to this wee doggy. What's your name? You are very beautiful, aren't you? Yes, I see you. Can we get you on camera though? Can we get you on camera? Is that all right? Oh, and what happened to you? What happened to your eyes?
From one eye.
Oh my word. Oh, poor you. I bet you're getting on fine now, eh?
I just went like a ruby red colour and
You just went.
I just had to get out.
What's their names?
That's Troy and that's Benji. But you'll not hear he's dead.
Hello, Troy. Oh, you can feel me though. Hello, Troy, and hello, but you look like a Benji.
Come on then.
Right, see you later.
Just you having a good tour.
Just a wee tour about the Crook, aye. Bye, Troy. Right, so let's continue along the Caledonian Railway. And I love this wee bit as well. This has got a wee bit of the tunnel about it now. And a lot of my books, I collect the old railway books, Marco. And every single one of them, they cover the whole of the UK. But when they talk about Rumbling Bridge, they say that that was the most beautiful part of the entire railway system. Now, what I've always wondered is, I know I've seen pictures of the railway, so that kind of comes through just a couple of 100 yards from the bridge.
That's right.
But would it? How close would it have come to the actual gorge as it runs through there? So the train would have come down here. Would it have crossed the main road then?
It would go under the main road. There's
It
a
went
tunnel.
under the main road, right. So is that just at the bit where we take the little steps down to walk by the
Yes,
river?
where the wooden steps
So
were.
this is what I wonder. So the train track was basically on the river then? Is that correct?
It's skirted by the river,
Skirted
then
by it.
headed west towards Rumbling Bridge itself. And there's another tunnel there that went under to get to the station at Rumbling Bridge.
So you would have actually been able to see the gorge and everything from
Not
the
the
train?
gorge.
Not the
You would
gorge.
have seen the river
Seen the river.
before the gorge, but you would have been possibly 500 yards away from the gorge. You wouldn't.
Aye. So I was reading as well, that's why they built the, well, not the old folks' home, it was, what was it called previously? Was it the Rumbling Bridge Hotel?
Rumbling Bridge Hotel.
The Rumbling Bridge Hotel, and people would come from all over the United Kingdom just to come to this little part. Which I think is pretty spectacular, because it's quite a sleepy little place now, isn't it?
Yes.
We don't get a tremendous amount of tourists coming to...
Well, there's no golf course anymore.
There's no golf course, no, there's no train tracks, there's not...
You can go fishing though in the Devon.
Aye. Now, we are not far from our sign. So I am quite excited to look at this. We don't quite see Catherine and Justin's house in it, because it's just outside the parish, but we will, and hopefully Marco will be able to tell us quite a bit, because he's quite good with the old maps. Now, do you know when the church or anything was built, Marco? So wait a minute, you might be able to tell me a bit about the older church, the Free Church. Where was that situated?
The other church used to be on the corner to Maymuir Road.
So over the bridge and then on the first left-hand corner,
That's right.
right?
But the church previous to all of these was Tullibole, or Tullibole Castle.
Right, so this is what I never understood. So we originally, the village wasn't really here, was it? It was Tullibole Castle.
That's right.
And the surrounding from that.
You had, originally Crook of Devon was what we call the back crook.
Right, that's why I understood it.
The Crook of Devon now, for example, Main Street was called Fuse of Tullibole, I think it was.
Fuse of Tullibole, that's right. And the reason it was called that is because they had lots of... Roderick told me about this, about all the little mounds in the fields. That was the lums, or the chimneys for the blacksmithing, is that right?
That's in... No, that might be down... No, I think it's a different story.
Right, so this part here was a fuse of Tullibole.
So the main street used to be called Fuse of Tullibole, and back crook was called Crook of Devon.
Right.
And for some time it all changed round. I don't know when it happened, but then it changed.
Well, I'm going to go and do a video at the back crook, because one of the men I used to know there was a very famous character around here, a man named Dunk Penny.
Oh yeah.
And Dunk was an old sheep farmer. And he was an elder at the Free Church, right? And the story I've been told is when the new church came about, all the old elders were given an automatic eldership at the new church. And Dunk said he would never set foot in that church. Did you know that? Right, let's go and have a wee look at this sign here before we say goodbye to everyone. Because I really like this one. Do you know who made this or who drew this?
No.
Now let's just have a wee look. So here we go. This plaque is lovingly dedicated to the Luke family of Crook of Devon and Fossaway Parish by their descendants worldwide. So let's just have a wee look from a distance. There we've got the main crook is right here. This is what we were just talking about, the fuse of Tullibole. And the bit that we were talking about that was original Crook of Devon is just up this little path. What you can see there is sort of little ponds. That's the fish farm, which is away now. And then as you follow the road around, this comes onto the back crook. Now, just here is 9 acres. That's where we did a video before. You can see the river coming through. And along to the right is where I would have lived. And this right here is where we think the gallows knowe would have been, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's have a wee look at the back crook and see if we can pinpoint where the gallows knowe would have been. Oh, right, so in John Wheatley's house. Are you? Oh, should we not mention names?
No names.
I'm going round to knock on John's door to get the gossip here. My
I'm
word.
not 100%, but I think it's in that locality.
Well, I know this little bit of land very well because I used to play with Matthew here quite a lot. And then here's Knockingtinny. This is a hill that we could see in the background there. And then if we just come along here, that little house there is the one that I used to live in. And then we've got the main crook, the road coming from Kinross.
You had at one time Tullibole Church, and you had the church at
So, aye.
Possiway.
Oh, right, so there was one away up there as well.
Yeah, over here.
Right, so I had no idea about those two
Now,
churches.
what happened was, because of the failing attendances, they decided to build a new church. And what they did was they drew a line south and a line west.
And where it met.
And where it met.
So that would have been right
here.
Right on this house here. Is this a court or this court? This one?
Where are we?
So there, here we are here. This is the Namur Bridge. And then the Deer Farm.
That's it.
All right, so this is the new church you mean? Ah, no, I mean about the free
No,
church.
I mean this church here. That's why it was called Fossaway and St. Serve's Church.
So combining the two.
Yeah. But this other church up here, it was they drew a line on the map, south and west, and where the two met joined, that's where they built it.
Right there. Wow.
So the one at Tullibole would have been behind Tullibole Castle, because the graveyard's still
Well,
there.
that's the thing. So I've been up to that graveyard there and you can still make out a lot of it.
There's still a graveyard up at Fossaway.
Oh, wow. So is that up near Henry and the Cheaps?
That's right.
Right, so I know exactly where that was as well.
There's I can show you in the map. It does mention on the survey maps the ruins of the church.
Right, I think you and me will have to go up there and do a wee video, Marco.
Who?
You and me. Because you know the history, and I can get in touch with Angus, and I'm sure he could arrange for us to get a wee look.
I think Angus is across from the graveyard.
Oh, really?
There's another house.
So right next to the clay mine then?
I'm not sure.
Because I've been to the clay mine. The clay mine's just behind his house and to the west.
No, I can't remember the name of the house.
Because you've got Easter Fossaway and Wester Fossaway there,
That's
do you
right.
know? Aye. And let's just have a wee look at the church. We're just going to get ready to say goodbye now. These doors.
Bye-bye.
Oh, not yet. Just give me one more minute yet, Justin. One more minute. I can see Andy's house there. And then round the corner, we shall see the new tennis court. Oh, careful, Justin.
Yeah.
Right, let's turn round, have a wee look at the church, and then we'll say goodbye to everyone. You ready to say goodbye, Chloe? 1, 2, 3. Bye!